gone live and just about on time, which is tremendous on this beautiful hot day in July. So if anyone's watching this in December, it was the really hot day, and the lighting might be a bit strange because we're not putting the studio lights on today because it's hot. So this is a Tuesday Chew. Welcome to Tuesday Chews, where we chew over things, and we chew over things. We sort of talk like we are offline, but online. So it might get a little bit appropriate. The language might get a little bit fruity, and a little bit. And you are highly likely to be offended by some of the stuff that we're talking about. I think today, especially if you're a salesperson or a manager. So my partner in crime here, Matthew Dashper Hughes. Say hello, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
And so Matthew and I work together in Sandler, and the subject today is the top 10 sales. There's lots of stars in there, but it looks like it could be bullshit. Lines that managers accept. The top 10 salespeople's bullshit lines that managers accept, and this sort of started from you might have seen it, different sort of business bingo things that you have, where you have your bingo things where they say, singing from the same hymn sheet. That was always a favourite one, wasn't it? And what were the other daft lines on there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to take a helicopter view on this one.
Helicopter, yeah.
That was a great one. What else did we used to have in our board meetings? Well, to be fair, some of my staff always used to play this kind of bingo with me. And one of my typical phrases was, apparently, as I found out when I saw one of the bingo cards, was meat on the bone. We need to put some meat on the bone on this one. Apparently, I used to say that all the time. I didn't know that I used to say that until I saw somebody's bullshit bingo card for me and what I used to say. And to that, I mean, you, me, we have both got our scar tissue on this. So if this is the bullshit that sales managers accept, we have both been those sales managers. So a little bit of, owning our own mistakes here, airing our dirty laundry in public, but doing so deliberately. If there are any mistakes that we're about to talk about, and you as a sales manager, if you're watching this, you go, ooh, I think that might be me. Just be aware we've done this beforehand. So if there's a mistake you're making, we've already made it. Honestly, you're learning from our mistakes here. It's a lot less painful than making your own.
Yeah, and I've got to say that look at these sales excuse, this sales excuse bullshit line. I'm convinced I actually either invented some or was taught them by my colleagues or my managers that these work, because you use these lines because they work, right?
Yeah.
And I really wanted my top 20 jingle on this. But it's where I'm singing.
Okay, not off pop pickers, and it's coming in at number 1. Cold calling just doesn't work.
Cold calling just doesn't work. Number 1, absolutely. Now we call gold calling. Yes, it just doesn't work, and people don't accept that sort of stuff now. And we had to start with that one, didn't we? Now everyone's turned off. Every time we mention cold calling, we lose half of our viewers. And I don't know how many we've got now. I can't actually tell you. It might be 1. I don't know. And it's amazing how salespeople spend a lot of time justifying what they don't do doesn't work. And as a sales manager, if you're getting this line, you might have taught it to them. And I think Matthew's got a great phrase about this. And I've not primed you for this. What's that phrase? Did they become? What was it?
Oh yeah, I mean, basically, whenever you've got somebody who is not performing as you would want them to perform, then the question you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and ask is, did I hire them like that, or did they become like that on my watch? Because something's gone wrong somewhere. Either you've got something flawed in your hiring process, because you haven't mitigated the chance of the bad hire and they've somehow slipped through and ended up on your payroll. Or alternatively, there's something going on in your onboarding, in your day-to-day coaching, which is basically causing them to be less good than you know they should be. Either way, it's a management problem, not necessarily a personnel problem.
Yeah. So I mean, this cold calling doesn't work is a line that also might reflect how we feel about this as a manager. And then we have to look, and here's sort of an example I do in management training, and as a manager, I'd like you to try this. A manager, director, leader, owner. Is I'd like you to just take a sheet of flip chart or whiteboard and fill in things that we tolerate around here. And just fill that up. Maybe people coming in after time, staying a bit later, not answering the phone quick enough. There's a whole load of things, dressing unprofessionally, behaving unprofessionally, low-level banter. And when you've got all of that, the things that you tolerate, it might be very useful then to just cross out the things that you tolerate and say the culture of our business is. And then when you get that and have a look at this and you go, is that what we want to be working in? And that can frighten you. Maybe do it with your staff. Maybe do it with your co-managers. I think that's a great exercise to help you work out what's actually going on. And one of the things we tolerate around here is that cold calling doesn't work. So the culture of our business is that calling strangers to grow our business just doesn't work. And sometimes it's skill, sometimes it's will. In fact, mostly it's will. But again, one of the sales excuse bingos we hear, if you hear your staff saying that prospecting just doesn't work, those marketing people should do a better job than they actually do. I wish they'd get us some leads that were half decent. That isn't actually in here, but that should be in there.
Marketing needs to get more leads. It's actually row 2, column D.
Oh, it is there. It is there. Marketing needs to get the stuff they pass is a crap beyond belief. Yeah.
I had a great live stream with Richard Dawson, who's a marketing expert, last week, and we were talking about this kind of apparent disconnect between the marketing department and the sales department, because the marketing department are that department that feed us crap, poor quality leads, and from the marketing director's point of view, the sales department is that bunch of layabouts who can't convert to save their lives. So it's really about the fact of two departments that both serve the same purpose, which is to identify the right sorts of clients, the sorts of people that we should potentially be talking to, work out what sorts of problems they've got, and then how to start a conversation with those people. And really, they're both serving the same end, which is to create great sorts of value for potential clients, and that's really why we exist. So there you go.
That disconnect between sales and marketing. Actually, we released a white paper which talks about the disconnect between marketing and sales. That might help you out. If you're seeing that your marketing people are producing stuff that's no good to sales, and your sales people are blaming the marketing, maybe you just ping us with that. Oh, we got some things here from Ashley. So there we go. Salespeople always need to be prospecting. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, because I think one of the basic rules is your clients, whoever they are, however good they are, eventually they will leave you.
Mm-hmm.
It could be this week, next month, next year, but eventually they'll leave you. If you don't prospect, eventually you're going to have no business. So absolutely, Ashley, great comment. What else we got? Oh, here we go. I'll do another one from Ashley. Thank you for contributing, Matthew.
Yeah, anything we get from SDRs to sales development representatives and stroke marketing is a bonus. So basically, I think from this, Ashley, I infer that you're an account executive. So there you go. So you're dealing with the kind of the sharp end stuff. SDRs typically kind of feed you the leads they've generated. I'm not a massive fan of the split between the SDR and AE thing. I think basically the whole prospecting thing should be within a salesperson's wheelhouse, but look, we can debate about different structures and things all day long. But I agree with it. You know, always be prospecting, and always recognize that not every single prospect is going to qualify to be your client. So it's about seeking the truth and seeking a proper sales opportunity. And yes, always be active on LinkedIn. Yes, quite right. I mean, we would never do that, right, Roy? I mean, we're not on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah, I'm always all over that. It's quite interesting, the conversations you can have, and it is a great source of referrals. Well, actually, it's really on this today, you know.
Yeah,
Here we
nice
go.
job.
Here we go. Let's stick this one up there. I
Thank
mean, I tell you, you're going to give salespeople a bad name if you go and do cold calling.
I know.
Yeah. Cold calling all the time and taking pipelines through the pipeline. I'm not quite sure what you mean.
Taking prospects through the pipeline. I think that's I'm inferring a sort of typing very fast thing there.
Yes, absolutely. So let's go on. Thank you very much for that, Ashley. Let's go on to another one here. Some of the sales excuse bullshit bingo. Here we go. I need a few percent more discount to get it over the line. They've said to us, just give us a couple more percent. We can drag this thing over the line. What does that say, Matthew?
It says that they've just gone out and bought themselves a shotgun and they're blowing their own foot off. That's basically what that says. I mean, there's so many things wrong about this. I mean, first things first, what it does to your own money concept when you give away discount is basically you're telling yourself on some level that you're not worth the full price. You're not worth, and what you do is not worth the full price. You will get what you think you're worth. And the bottom line is, if you don't believe it, then why the hell should the prospect? You should be charging the right price all the time. You should be getting a value that is commensurate with the value that you bring to the prospect. And that's as simple as that. End of story. Discounting should be a 4-letter word to you. Should definitely not do it, because your brain doesn't know how to take a joke. If you tell yourself that you're only worth the lower amount, well, guess what? You are only worth the lower amount. It's a conviction thing. So you've got to stop undermining yourself and setting yourself up to fail in that way. The second thing is, when you're discounting, people say, oh, it's only a 10% discount. Is it heck only a 10% discount? It might be a 10% discount off the retail price if that's the right ticket, but that's not your margin. By the time you've taken all your costs out of it and everything else, typically your retained margin is going to be probably only about 10%. So what you're really doing if you give away a 10% margin is you're giving away your margin. You're giving away your net profit. If you don't understand what net profit is, then you should never be involved in discounting. Full stop.
And you're right. And the thing is, this sort of behaviour is actively encouraged by a sales manager who's got to hit their goals as well. And they learn that it's okay. And if he makes it easier to drag something over the line, they're giving away money that probably they don't need to. In most cases, and discount. You've not given your value. You've not explained your value correctly, or they've not understood your value. You can't explain value. They have to work it out. Let's go on to. I've got one here. I've got to show this because Ashley's put something else in there. We're going back a step, but look at this. 40 cold calls already. I love this. Whoever employs this guy, give him a rise, because he's going to make he's going to make more money for you. Oh, here we go. Eddie's put something on here. Let's see here. Eddie winds me up. I know my worth and don't go any lower. Well done, that man.
Absolutely.
It's been a while, Eddie. It's been a long time since we've spoke. So great stuff. Let's move on to another one.
Yeah.
Which I like here. It's been pushed back. It's been pushed back because it's in our forecast, and we're pleasuring ourselves to say our forecast is coming in this month, and then it's been pushed back. Well, what the hell does that mean? It's been pushed back, Matthew?
means you haven't actually qualified it properly. I mean, listen, this is not fair, is it, on the salesperson? Because, ultimately it's always the season of the prospect, never the season of the salesperson. Oh, we would really want to do this. We really want to do this, but we're going to need to wait until probably the end of the summer, when everybody's back from holiday. I'll start of the school year now. We're really sorry we can't do this because it's all up in the air because everybody's at the start of new term time, and how that affects business, and people are around, people aren't around because oh god, it's just a nightmare. Oh well, no, we can't do it now because it's nearly Christmas, and that's a big time for us. We can't really.
Christmas season.
Start of the new year. We can't do it at the start of the year. Oh god, we're dealing with all the tax things, and oh my god, now it's the start of the financial year. Now it's Easter time. Now it's I don't know, Seventh Advent lunatic day or something. I mean, it's always some kind of bullshit excuse. Reality is, if you have properly established the reason for doing business, then what you are selling is an investment for them, not a cost. They will find the time, they will find the money, and they will find the resource to do it if you have properly qualified them. They've pushed it back means you've got a qualifying problem. Full stop.
Yeah. There we go. It's Ashley's enjoying the chat, which is quite good. And again, the thing is, if you've got toothache, if you've got toothache in summer, you don't say, I'm just going to wait till the new financial year to deal with it. So it'll be next April when I'll fix that. That doesn't happen, right? If it hurts enough, and you know how much it hurts, it certainly will. You will deal with it, and pushing it back means the pain hasn't been recognised by the prospect. So that's good. Here we go. Alexander. Thank you very much, Alexander. What have we got here? Yeah. That's how it should be. Yeah. You're giving away your bonus, not mine, son. Yeah, I love that. That's a
really interesting point, that, isn't it? Because I mean, do you know where the phrase quota came from? You know how quota is like sort of a synonym these days for the targets that salespeople carry. Well, the quota came from the fact that it used to be way back when salesperson or salesman, as it was then, first became a role. That actually he or she used to actually have to, justify their entire existence. So it's a commission only kind of structure. So, but then the first time that actually they were kept paid some kind of basic wage as well. The idea of the quota was that the first lot of sales they did had to cover their wage. That was their quota. That's their minimum level ticket to the game. Everything above that was their target that they used to get a commission on. I think there's a merit in saying that that's the way it should be, personally. But that's we've got to justify our existence here.
Yeah.
For where quota came from.
It's always good talking to you, Matthew. It's you've already won a Mickey today. You're not having another one. And so thank you very much, Alexander. Thanks for watching. Here we've got the decision maker won't speak to me.
Okay.
How does a sales manager go, oh, poor you. Oh, the decision maker won't speak to me. Valid excuse? No, I think not, my friend. And again, this is in a qualification. Where are the decisions made around here? And I have to say, in my early days, I think I used that one. In fact, I probably invented it. I don't know. The decision maker won't see me. Oh dear. Let's see. Matthew, any thoughts on that? The decision maker won't see me, or should we just move on? Because I've got a doozy next.
I think the critical thing here is you've got to remember that when you're selling into a large organization, there isn't just one decision maker. There's multiple decision makers. And some of the first decisions that you've got to get through are, why should you even justify your existence to get through to the next person? If you were going to get to, let's say you get to speak to somebody from the C-suite. Let's say you're speaking to the CEO of a large organization. How much do you think that he or she earns every single day? What we're talking, it's in the thousands every single day. So every single half hour that they spend, it probably costs their business 500, 600 quid, 700 quid, something like that. You've got to give 500, 600, 700 quid's worth of value just to get a half-hour meeting. Do you think you need to actually give them some indication of why it is that you should get through the gates to get to them? Well, you've got to be able to establish that you're not going to leave the people that you're already speaking to vulnerable in their own political system for wasting the boss's time. If you can't justify your existence to get through to there, then how the hell are you going to sell the product if you can't even sell yourself?
Yeah, and it reminds me of a study that went on by I think one of our most worthy competitors, whose name I can't remember. They did a study about a bunch of salespeople going in for sales meetings, and came out and asked them how they, how they felt about the quality of the sales meeting, and more than 80% say they were above average in what their sales, the quality of their sales meeting. And they then went into the buyers, into the various decision makers, and said, how did you think on the scale? And actually 3% agreed. So 80% of sales people thought they were above average, and average is like top end of poor, isn't it? And the people they met, only 3% agreed. Well, that's scary. That's scary. Let's go to another line. Oh, yeah, I've got some more new messages here. Let's see what we've got.
Eddie says he's always talking to the decision maker because he's booking a wedding, so he's talking to the bride to be. So.
Oh well, there you go. There you go. And that's magic, my friend. So
congratulations, by the way. Assuming that the impending nuptials are indeed your own. Congratulations on your impending nuptials.
Eddie's the magician. So we've got one here. Decision maker won't see me. Too busy to prospect. This has to be one of my absolute favourites.
Yeah.
Too busy to prospect. Where does that? And to be fair, I've fallen into that one. Far too busy doing stuff. Stuff.
Here's the thing: if something's important, you'll find time for it. There's this thing called Parkinson's law, which is the tasks you've got expand to fill the time that you've got. So you've ever heard the phrase, if you want something doing, give it to a busy person because they'll just find a way of doing it. If you've ever had that sensation where you're booked to go away on holiday, and the day before you go away on holiday, you get a week's worth of work done in that one day. We've all done it. Reality is, I can guarantee you are not using your time as efficiently as you could be. Procrastination is a choice. You are choosing to creatively avoid the stuff that you know you ought to be doing, but you just fundamentally don't want to do it. Now, nobody, not even the awesome Ashley, who is clearly a prospecting machine, not even
yes, he is,
wants to pick up the phone and talk to strangers. By the time he's done 40 of them, as he's already done this morning, he's feeling pretty cool with it because he's had 40 people tell him to F off. They don't tell you to F off, by the way. They're usually much nicer than that. It's okay. It's all right. Nobody's ever died from making a cold call. Honestly, I've checked. It's fine.
I think it's one of these David Sandler, who's been gone quite a while now. Always said, you never have to get in a queue to make a cold call. And this is good. So what have we got here? Again, another one of my favourites. Love the quote. Fabulous quote. You did a great job. Probably one of the best quotes I have ever seen. But this time we're staying with our current supplier. That's a killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a killer. And what they basically told you is, you are marvelous, you are magic, you are awesome, but we're not changing. There's a thing. And we talk about this a lot, Matthew and I. It's about that old 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s. They're still going. I mean, so what is it, Matthew?
I mean, I've got to ask the question: how did they earn the right to get a quote from you? How did they earn the right to get a quote out of you in the first place? What were the criteria that they met from your side to say that actually they were a genuine prospect, as in somebody who had sufficient reason to do business? That is, the gap between where they are today and where they want to be is sufficiently large and painful and big enough problem to actually solve that they have a commitment to solve it, that has sufficient financial impact to warrant your time to say, actually, we're the right people to solve that. We can fill that gap and we can do it at the right sort of price. How did you establish that? Because if you did, and you established it properly, and you established the investment case, and you established that you were talking to the right people, and that you were going to put the quote across to them, the proposal across to them in a way that is congruent with their internal operating parameters so that it sets it up to succeed rather than sets it up to fail, how the hell could they possibly be in a position where they're going to kick this can down the road or stick with their current supplier? Look, HubSpot did some surveys last year, and they found that 80%, that's 4 out of 5 B2B transformational selling situations end up in the status quo. That is no change. That means 4 to 5 out of these things should never have been quoted in the first place because they were badly qualified. Simple as that.
On the other hand, if the salespeople had done a decent job, it might have been a bit more, but there you go. And here's what I'd like to finish with, because we're finishing a little bit early today. We're only going to make it to about 27 past, 26, 27 past, because Matthew's running more LinkedIn training. And those people who like to prospect through LinkedIn as opposed to making the cold calls. But here's one which is absolutely one of my favorites, and I should bring that video out. I should dial that video out again. It goes like this: if we can do this one cheaper, we can put up the prices on the next job. Has that ever actually happened? But they still use this line. I mean, it's. I've got to get this video out as well. This is great. I'd love to know if anyone's actually put the first price in cheap, and then able to reclaim that on the future job, because I've never seen it, but why do you think people use that line? Because I've heard this a lot. In fact, it's made it into films, so you know.
You're trading on, or the buyer, the professional buyer, is trading on you being high on hopium. They are trading on the fact that you are listening with happy ears rather than listening to what's really being said. Basically, they're trading on the fact that you've showed up and all you want is your commission, rather than focusing on the real thing, which is a long-term value relationship. You shouldn't be thinking about closing the sale. You should be thinking about opening an account. And that account is a long-term relationship. You are, forgive the phrase here, but obviously weddings are in my mind now. Thank you, Eddie. You're selling for a marriage. You're not selling for a wedding night. You're looking for the long term here. So, don't be thinking about this sale. Think about the long-term value. And are you actually getting an amount that is commensurate with the value you're bringing? If the answer is no, don't do it. Have some self-respect. Plant your feet. You don't have to be aggressive, horrible. Just be assertive. Nice, nurturing, assertive, but equal business stature. They have a problem. You have a solution. That puts you in balance. You are equals. It's not a master-slave relationship.
And I mean that's great, and we've got just a minute, and we haven't even covered most of them, and I'm sure there's more we can add to this, but I just saw this one, and I have heard this in sales meetings so many times, and even I found it unpalatable, but the other company bought the business. They bought the business. Said lots of salespeople. If you're hearing this line from your sales guy, really. You've got to reassess what you're teaching them, or reassess if this person should be in your company, because this is the line that, out of all of this salesman's bullshit lines, I really want to get out of the of being acceptable. The other company bought the business. Doesn't happen. You were outsold. And as a manager, if you accept this line, you're teaching them that being outsold is okay. Here we go. We got something else from Jared. Here we go. Alexander, rather. I recently picked up some clients from BDM who left. He would drop his pants on the price now. For myself, it's an uphill battle to get the money back from what was left on the table. Yeah. These sort of amateur behaviours leave long-term problems. And again, that's a different discussion, not for here. But I would, we should talk about that, because you can always bring it back. You can always bring this back if you do the right thing. But if you do more of the same thing, they're not going to accept it. And the thing is, no buyer ever says, we're okay with you putting the price up. They always moan. We've got to go. Matthew, anything to close with? We have to go.
No, nothing really to close with, other than, Alexander, next week we're going to deal with those self-sabotaging acts of idiocy that you've been left with. So those nice little gifts that our BDM left for you. And by the way, he or she should never be called a BDM, business development manager. You're supposed to be developing the business, aren't you? Not self-sabotaging. Anyway, there you go. So we will definitely talk about that next week. Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for watching. So Roy, how can people get in touch with you?
So call me on 07 867 525 868 or roy.johnson@sandler.com. How can they get hold of you, Matthew?
very easily, mdh@sandler.com or 07715 That's 07715 See you next Tuesday.
See, I'd like to leave you all with one thought. There's a reason Santa Claus is very popular. He rocks up once a year and gives away shed loads of stuff. Do not be the Santa Claus salesman. See you next week and we'll come up with something.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
See you soon. Cheers.